Well, first, we want to make sure we go back. We look at all the practices, particularly this final practice of 15. It's been challenging, but at the same time, it's been really good for us to you know to give guys reps that need it, heal guys' bodies that their seasons were ended because of surgeries. But looking at the efficiency, effectiveness, wanted to establish an identity running the ball. Today they looked good doing that. Wanted to make sure that we saw the guys that just added to our team. A guy like T.J. Thorpe, which I think is going to be an outstanding player for us. Evan Butts, a young tight end receiver. Brendan Marshall, made a very athletic catch down there in the end zone. So try to make sure we take care of the X's and O parts, but at the same time continue to identify those players that can help us be successful on the field. And as I said, we will look at tape Monday and Tuesday. We'll have exit interviews with the players all next week, kind of tell them where they stand. The coaches are going to be out on the road recruiting on that Thursday, Friday, so there's a lot of things going on. But first and foremost, we want to take care of the final evaluation of the season, and then move on to the players, and then get ready for our August camp.
Has Thorpe been as dynamic all spring as he was in the first series today?
He has. I mean, he has been. We talk about taking the top off of defense. I mean, he can stretch the field vertically. He's a guy that's, as you saw, he's probably going to be, right now he's our punt returner. He's going to be involved in special teams. And, he's a dynamic player. We want to try to find ways to get him the ball, but he has been pretty consistent throughout camp in being a guy that can make plays.
How has he been able to, get so comfortable in such a short amount of time since he's gotten here?
Oh, he's a veteran in playing college football. He's when he first came in, he got on the board with Coach Fairchild, and basically he drew all the routes of the rest of the receivers. He knew the protections of the offensive linemen. He knew the hot reads of the quarterback. He knew the blocking schemes for the running back. So that's what a veteran player does for you. He loves football, and his value is not only on the field, but it's off the field in the locker room for not only the receivers, but for the entire team.
How do you feel about the depth of running back? And you talked earlier about who's behind Smoke. How do you feel about that leaving spring?
Well, there were a couple good runs out there today. Again, we want to try to establish that running mentality. Being physical, being tough, but going north and south. And again, I just have the stats ahead, in front of me now, looking at things. But a guy like Smoke, Daniel Ham. It was good to see Chasten Smith, break a couple runs. Jordan Ellis, and so we want to be able to run the ball, because if you notice today, our quarterbacks are under center more, and if you're going to run the ball, you have to be able to run the play action passes that accompany that, and that's the identity we want to establish. And we've started to do that, and we'll continue to keep doing that with the development of our offensive line. There's about 4 or 5 of them that were out today that we look forward to having them back and just continue to get better and improve.
Quinn had a game time in tackles today, had a pick, kind of keeping it to him. How would you assess his performance today from down the field, but moreover for the entire squad?
It's a learning process for him. He's a guy that, Anthony Harris is no longer next to him, so he's got to get everybody lined up. And so that's been a challenge for him to be the guy. He's embraced it. He's got a ways to go, but he's not shy of contact. He will mix it up, and I think he's going to be a special player. You don't want to say too much about first-year players and going into his second year, but, he was awarded the Bill Dudley Z Society Award. There's a Green Dot Initiative here on grounds talking about sexual assault, and the student body voted him as one of the spokespersons for this university, and that's awesome. Kanan Severn was another one, as well as Grayson Lambert. So he's a well-rounded young man, and as I said, he's very humble, and a lot of good things have come his way. And I know that you don't want to let the highs get anyone too high, but the way he goes about carrying himself is outstanding for a young man of his age, and he'll be a very good player. But he's a guy who's got to call defenses now, because he's the guy.
Like we saw Andrew Brown going forward? And have you seen him progress?
You know, it was yes, I've seen him progress the last couple practices because, as we've told everybody, you know, this is where you started to make your move on the depth chart. This was you going into the, you know, into the summer months as far as, you know, these coming out of these exit interviews as far as where you are. And Andrew's done a really good job of trying to catch up from what he lacked last year. I mean, what a lineman needs most of the time are reps, and having a healthy spring, allowing him to have all those reps. You know, that's his learning curve starting to catch up with his ability. And I saw him rush the passer a couple of times and push the pocket, and those are the things that he can do to help us win. And you know, we're excited about where he'll continue to grow and develop because, you know, those big guys up front are hard to come by, particularly when they play hard like he does.
What about Corney's play? I guess he just had the ball lateral to him, but I guess he's a guy that you're going to count on more than you have in the past.
You know, Trent Corney has done a nice job during camp. He's gotten a lot of reps, you know, obviously. He was just happened to be in the right place at the right time, so I wouldn't, you know, give him that much. But, you know, Mark Hall did a good job of scooping, running, and being aware of where Trent was. But Trent has developed, and he's a guy that's, you know, he started out with our track team. You know, he's a decathlete in high school. So, you know, I don't know if you guys seen a YouTube video. He's standing in water waist high, and then he jumps out of the water onto the deck, which is pretty impressive. Just wanted now to transfer over onto the football field and sacks and cause fumbles. But he's an athlete. You know, he's a guy that has shown some athletic skills and ability, and we need him to help us this year as well.
You were using Trent a lot standing up on the line, kind of like you did with Max in the past. Is that a role that you like for him? It's kind of just like single focus, get after the quarterback, get back to him?
I mean, that's something he does. You know, Andrew, he does well. Is he comes off the edge. He's a guy that's very strong. He's probably one of the strongest guys on our team. And, you know, you'll see, you know, defensive schemes that'll have him down in three-point stance, standing up. We'll try to utilize the skill set, you know, that he has. And so this will be a big summer for him, you know, for his development, to learn the football intricacies of playing, standing up, putting your hand down in the ground. And I know he's very capable of it, and we expect him to, you know, to help us this year.
Speaking of big summers, how important is this upcoming time for your linebackers, and how would you assess how these new guys did during spring ball?
You know, Dave, it's very important that because this is a linebacker-led team in terms of the calls, in terms of the adjustments and the alignments. You know, Micah Kaiser and Zach Bradshaw have, you know, been in meetings where Henry Coley and Romero were calling the defenses, and now it's their voice that's out there. They've done it. Particularly Micah has done a really good job of calling those defenses, getting guys lined up. It's unfortunate that last week he kind of tweaked the knee and he didn't play today, but you know, he will be a guy that going into the summer, getting healed and ready to go, that we're going to rely on heavily. But that's a position, linebacker position, as you know, we tried to address through recruiting with the long, athletic type of guys that can help us play, whether in the inside or on the outside. But that linebacker position and development is going to be critical for us.
You usually have more than 4 captains, and usually have a quarterback that's a captain. Is that something that you guys will revisit, or are you happy with 4 and we'll just work through it?
No, you know, the team voted on the captains, and by far the three top vote getters were Kanan. Matter of fact, David Dean was number 1. Then Kanan Severin and Ross Burbank. Vince Croce was voted as the special teams captain, and so instead of just having captains to have captains, those are the 3 that this team picked and said they wanted to lead us. Now, that doesn't preclude anybody. There's a leadership council, as we all know, that there are several names, you know, in that group. Doesn't stop anybody from still being a leader, but because I utilize the leadership council in a lot of things. But as far as the captains are concerned, those are the 3 young men plus Vince that this team chose to lead us into the season.
Not great numbers for the quarterbacks today. Was that very important to get any separation there? Or pretty much know enough already to go into this
One of the biggest things, when we go into this evaluating this tape and evaluating the spring is for quarterbacks to be, incredibly accurate. It's critical that quarterbacks are accurate. It's critical in the evaluations of the quarterbacks that can they facilitate the run after the catch. That's throwing the ball in stride and allowing guys to make plays. Don't throw it behind them. Don't throw it down at the ground. Don't throw it over. And so those are the things that we are making sure that's a criteria for us. And quarterback's got to be efficient. And so we'll take the stats of this game and all the practices and the 7-on-7s and the 1-on-1s and all those things to come up with where we are coming out of spring practice.
Just holding Dean out today, precautionary type stuff.
He last week he went to make a move and he kind of pulled an ab muscle. He did it in the North Carolina game, which took him out a little bit. And so instead of trying to get him to play, we just wanted to keep him out, hold him out, and get him healed and get him moving in the right direction here. So there's about 8 players that started spring that didn't play today for various reasons, and that's one of the reasons why we had the running clock. I mean, there was offensive linemen that were, running with the 1s and the 2s, same with the linebackers. So I thought we did a great job of taking the reps that we took, given our circumstances with numbers. Everybody would like to have a spring game, as you play it, but we wanted to make sure we had a productive session, and today's session was our final one and productive.
Talked about wanting to establish a running identity. You're using the fullback more. Looks like Croce is maybe carving out a role as a senior. Is he part of kind of the shift there in terms of fullbacks being a bigger part of it? Is his ability a big part of making that successful? How Croce plays as a senior?
Well, and there's Connor Ringo Reeves as well. I mean, so you have 2 guys that consistently throughout practice that have, when you're going to run the power play, you're going to run with authority. Guys that are 240 plus that can, block linebackers or defensive ends, and so they're willing to put their face in there, and they seek a high level of contact. And when you have guys like that, and you have the approach of wanting to establish a running identity, then it's great that you have players like that. And so, Coach Borbley has done a great job with the offensive line with developing that mentality. Coach Beatty has done an excellent job with the running backs and developing that north-south mentality as well. And so this is where we are. This is kind of our identity right now. When you have players that are like that, then we'll continue to keep developing that.